A new labor law was just passed in Alberta. It's called the Fair and Family Friendly Workplaces Act. Who could be against that, right? The government is selling it as an update to outdated labor laws, saying it extends protections to parents of sick or missing children, preventing their employers from terminating them unjustly. And really, if that were all this thing did, I'd be perfectly fine with it. But like everything the NDP does, it's just clouded in Orwellian doublespeak. You see, this bill that's promoted as a way to make it easier to be a working parent in the 21st century, what it really does is it opens the door to widespread union thuggery on a scale that Alberta has not seen since the mid-1980s. Protecting you from being fired for having a sick or kidnapped child is just one thing on one page of this 252-page bill. There's a lot in it. There's no way that I could get through it all in one video. But what it does is it swings the door wide open for farm workers to strike. Imagine if that happened during seeding or calving. A farmer could actually lose his farm. It takes away the secret ballot for union certification, meaning the union thugs will know exactly who you are and can intimidate you if you're someone who doesn't want to join a union. And if you work in a union shop but you're lucky enough to not be required to join the union, well, they can deduct union dues on your behalf anyway. The bill is just a big gargantuan mess. But there's one thing buried deep in this bill that seems like a subtle, meaningless change, but when you dive a little deeper, it means that a strike at one business could spread to many other businesses, different, unrelated, independent, non-union businesses all across the province. Stay with me. Way down on page 205, 206, the NDP repeal parts of Section 84 of the existing labor law. They yank out this part here that says, anyone may at the striking or locked out employee's place of employment, and not anywhere else, in connection with any labor relations dispute or difference, and without acts that are otherwise unlawful, peacefully engage in picketing to persuade or endeavor to persuade anyone not to A. enter the employer's place of business, operations, or employment, B. deal in or handle the products of the employer, or C. do business with the employer. And then the NDP replaced that section with, anyone may, at the striking or locked out employee's place of employment, in connection with any labor relations dispute or difference, peacefully engage in picketing to persuade or endeavor to persuade anyone to not do those A, B, and C things that I listed before. I know it's subtle and it's a little complicated, but this is what they did. The NDP removed the phrase, not anywhere else, so now a strike is mobile. It doesn't have to happen at the employer's place of business. You could be a business owner or an employee of another business owner, and through no fault of your own, you could find yourself involved in a labor dispute because your company sells, widgets to another company that's involved in a strike. The strikers can come persuade you not to do business with their employer at your place of business. Your customers could be harassed. Your employees could be harassed by union thugs because they're mad at one of your suppliers or someone you supply to. Or these union thugs could go to the grocery store or whatever store and harass you for buying an item made by a company involved in their labor dispute. Pretty family-friendly stuff there, NDP. But did you notice they took out another part of the law? They also removed the phrase, and without acts that are otherwise unlawful, as in doing illegal things. The NDP removed the specific prohibition on the unions breaking the Criminal Code of Canada. Later on in the law, they replace the word unlawful with the phrase, picketing in connection with a labor dispute or difference must be conducted without wrongful acts. Wrongful is subjective. Who decides what wrongful is? Illegal's pretty clear. Wrongful depends on opinions, but whose opinion? Well, that's where this thing gets even worse. What's wrongful gets decided by a board chosen by the government, in this case, the NDP, which, of course, they will stack with union friends because the NDP just aren't friendly to the unions because they share their far left-wing anti-capitalist ideology. The NDP actually are the unions. According to a letter filed by the Wild Rose Party with the Ethics Commissioner, 27 NDP MLAs have ties to labor unions, and another 4 are linked through their spouses or partners. So 31 of 53 NDP MLAs. 60% of the sitting government is directly tied to the unions or literally in bed with the unions. 14 of those 31 MLAs even served as union leadership. It's a conflict of interest that they're even voting on this monstrosity of a labor law. Are you like me? Are you old enough to remember the Gainers meatpacking plant strike in Edmonton during the summer of 1986? I am, just barely. I was 7. Yeah, I just told you how old I am. And I remember watching the strike on the news just about every night. And I remember driving past Gainers once with my parents, and my dad yelled out the windows at the strikers. He told them to get back to work, and they got really mad, and then they yelled at him. But my dad was a farmer, and the strike of the meat packing plant wasn't just hurting the owner of the meat packing plant, Peter Pocklington. A strike at the meat plant was hurting farmers who needed to ship their hogs, and it was hurting consumers at the grocery store. Anyway, the strike was mayhem. Fights, mob violence, buses with replacement workers were attacked and rolled over by union gangs. The police riot squad had to be stationed nearby for the entire summer. It's hard to believe, looking back now, that that even happened here in Alberta. And we haven't seen that sort of labor violence since then. But now, with a quasi-judicial panel of NDP friends and labor activists determining what amounts to wrongful, I expect to see labor violence come back to Alberta. No employer stands a hope in hell against this government and these new union laws. This is the kind of labor law that scares the daylights out of businesses looking to move to Alberta. I mean, if the carbon tax didn't already scare them off, that is. If a United Conservative Party Bill 1 is repealing the carbon tax, Bill 2 must be repealing and replacing this attack on free enterprise in Alberta. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunreid. At The Rebel, it's my full-time job to shine a light on progressive thuggery here in Canada. To never miss a story, be sure to subscribe to our new Rebel Canada YouTube page.